What's up, Rad Family? The 90s were a weird time for television, especially for children. Creepy, weird, and the paranormal were hot topic points for adolescent entertainment. Seeing as I grew up watching a lot of these shows, it's not hard to see where my love of all things horror came from. Today's list is a mix of cartoons, live-action series targeted at younger kids, and those aimed at teens. Prepare for some serious nostalgia and get ready to add to your binge list. So let's get to it. Number 10, Goosebumps. This is one of my all-time favorite shows from childhood. Debuting in 1995, this live-action series was based on the iconic book series by R.L. Stine. It's an anthology series, with each episode or so is a different story that places a group of adolescents in strange and paranormal circumstances. The supernatural stories involve everything from time travel to possessed dolls. This series is a classic, and if you haven't seen it yet, you have to put it at the top of your must-watch list. I don't think this show will ever not be cool. Number 9, Courage the Cowardly Dog. Holy cow, this cartoon terrified me growing up. Heck, if I watch it late at night now, it still gets me. Launching in 1999, the show focuses on Courage, an ironic name for a scared dog, and the elderly couple that owns him, living on a farm in the middle of nowhere. That really is the name of the desolated area they live in. A lot of seriously strange things happen to them. Trying to defend their home and the people inside it, Courage takes on the job of warding off the supernatural beings that show up on their doorstep. Though it has its cute, heartfelt moments, I'll never be comfortable watching this show by myself. Number 8, Are You Afraid of the Dark? This show is the quintessential, did I say that right? 90s teen show. Like, when you watch it, it just screams the 90s. Similar to Goosebumps, it's an anthology series that debuted in 1990. The plot centers around a group of young adolescents that are part of the Midnight Society, a club that meets around a campfire at night to share scary stories. What's so rad about this show is its relatableness, even though the plots are paranormal. A group of teens gathering in the woods is something many of us have done or wished we could have done. I also love how the show was filmed, where it would start off as a teen introducing that week's creepy tale in narration, but it would transition into the actual events. This is seriously one of the coolest shows to come out of the 90s, in my opinion. Number 7, Freaky Stories. Urban legends have always been popular, and they were definitely used to spark inspiration in TV shows and movies in the 90s. My voice gave out. Freaky Stories is a prime example of this. Very similar to today's horror channels and the liberal usage of real and true, each episode was presented as if it actually happened to someone or that the monsters really do exist. Premiering in 1997, every episode focuses on an urban legend or myth filled with creepiness. What's so unique about this show is that it uses several different animation styles to bring the stories to life. It's a super cool series that I recommend you check out, especially if you're into urban legends. Number 6, Real Monsters. This show terrified me as a kid. Oh my goodness. I remember walking in on my older brother watching this, and it freaked me out. Now, looking at it, it grosses me out still. The animated series debuted in 1994 and centers around 3 young monsters as they attend a monster university university, same thing, that teaches them how to be the scary beasts they want to. Being young and inexperienced, their attempts at scaring humans don't really go as they plan. It's a fun series, but something about the animation style makes my stomach feel a bit queasy. Number 5, Erie, Indiana. This is one of those shows that lives in the memories of those who have seen an episode. What I mean is, it's one of those shows that'll come up in conversation at some point, but you might not remember the title. And as you're describing it and people aren't really understanding, you start to question if it really existed or if you dreamt the whole thing. Does that make sense? Well, anyway, if it doesn't, the live-action show began in 1991 and follows the story of a young teen Marshall as he moves across country to the small and strange town of Erie, Indiana. It doesn't take long to realize something paranormal is happening to the area and its residents, but only Marshall and his new friend Simon seem to notice it. The deeper the duo dig into their town's mystery, the more disturbing things they find. It's a great horror comedy, and I highly recommend it. Number 4, Tales from the Crypt Keeper. This is a cult classic cartoon that I'm sure the main character gave many children nightmares. Premiering in 1993, this animated series is based off of the Tales from the Crypt, a live-action series that aired on HBO in the 90s that I also recommend checking out. So parents and their children could be watching very similar shows. I think that's kind of a cute idea. Can you imagine a kid's version of The Walking Dead? That sounds adorable. Anyway, the anthology series focuses on teaching children lessons by using scary stories and monsters to get the point across. Very similar to the purpose of many urban legends from around the world. It's fun, it's creepy, it's a 90s cartoon. What more could you ask for? Number 3, Bump in the Night. Debuting in 1994, this animated series stars Mr. Bumpy, a green little monster that lives under the bed of a young boy. Eating socks and hanging out with the other monsters that live throughout the house, the plot revolves around the group's adventures. It's as adorable as creepy monsters can get, and is an interesting concept for a children's TV show. Maybe it's to make them a little less afraid of what might be lurking in the shadows at bedtime. Number 2, Dead at 21. The title is an accurate representation of how creepy the plot of the show is. Premiering in 1994 on MTV, this series was created for teenagers, obviously. The story focuses on Ed, who discovers on his 20th birthday that he was secretly part of an experiment that made him a genius, but at a cost. He would die on his 21st birthday. Talk about a crappy birthday surprise. Things get dark fast. It's a race against time for Ed as he teams up with Maria in an attempt to escape death, all while trying to elude capture after being framed for murder. It's a heavy teen drama and a massive dose of 90s nostalgia. Definitely a lot different than what MTV airs today. Number 1, So Weird. And finishing our list is the Disney cult classic, yes Disney, So Weird. Debuting in 1999, it was the darkest project Disney had created at that time, and maybe since. Showcasing the impact of computers on teen life in the 90s, this series follows a young teen as she's traveling across country with her touring mother. Interested in the paranormal and feeling isolated, she turns to the internet to share creepy stories of the supernatural she hears along the way on her website, aptly named So Weird. It's one of the raddest teen shows ever created, and even though it's heavily influenced by the trends and technology of the 90s, I think it's withstood the test of time and would be just as interesting for today's adolescents. And there you have 10 series that make you wonder, what the heck was going on in the 90s? But whoever was in charge, we thank you, because now we have some really rad series. But not as rad as my virtual reality gaming channel that recently launched called Get Rad VR. There's a link down in the description as well as something on the screen right now that you can click on to go take you and watch some radness. Until next time, keep with the radness, and I'll see you real soon. This was totally over 20 seconds. Bye! Ah! Real monsters. That sounded weird.